So online reputation management creates balance, counteracts misleading trends, and allows you to put your best foot forward. So to talk more about this, we have our charming and energetic speaker, Mr. Samir Somal, Chief Financial Officer of Blue Ocean Global Technology and Blue Ocean Global Wealth, who's going to enlighten us on online reputation management, building and protecting your digital presence. So prior to co-founding Blue Ocean Global Technology, Mr. Somal was a Senior Investment Analyst at the Bank of Nova Scotia and a Financial Advisor and Intermediary at Morgan Stanley and Merrill Lynch and Co. As part of the investment strategy group at the Bank of Nova Scotia, Samir led efforts to establish a stellar group reputation by authoring white papers, delivering keynote presentation, and fostering strategic alliances. With no further delay, let's call upon Mr. Samir Somal to give us ideas on online reputation management, building and protecting our digital presence. So, Mr. Samir Somal, the stage is all yours.
Pleasure and
we have the presentation there, so you can continue. Thank you very much, sir.
The clairvoyant and sagacious comments by Mr. Bartlett were well received. I think he did an excellent summary about how our lives have changed so much. And if you think about today, the way we interact with our friends, family, and colleagues, more so than ever, through text messaging, email, social media, where perception and reality are often confused. And if we don't like change, we will like irrelevance even less. And our digital presence and online first impression are critical. Businesses must focus on online reputation to successfully align their strategic communication with their client, partner, and investor preferences. And moreover, proactive reputation management really affords business owners, executives, and all professionals insight into their strengths and weaknesses. Every internet search yields what is known as a search engine results page, known as a SERP. And every second, there are 63,000 Google searches, and every day there are 5.5 billion. And people perform these searches for countless reasons. They may be casually Googling a company from a sponsored Instagram post, or aggressively searching for a new attorney, accountant, financial planner, or their next travel destination, and hopefully they're considering Jamaica. They may even be Googling you. It's a fair bet, for instance, anyone that we hand our business card to is going to search us online for more information. And when you find positive information, that's going to foster trust. Conversely, negative information is going to quickly erode your online reputation and affect your offline one. So I always say that reputations are everything, and your reputation is your most valuable asset. So today I want to just provide some comments and context on online reputation management, building and protecting your digital presence. And Eric Schmidt of Google, in his book, The New Digital Age, he talked about this trend. And one of his lines that resonates with me is that identity will be the most valuable asset or commodity for citizens of the future, and it will exist primarily online. So today we're going to briefly talk about the digital revolution. We're going to frame the conversation. Then we're going to talk about what is online reputation management, briefly cover the Google test, build, monitor, and repair. I'll give you some practical tips and a brief case study. And then there's going to be a summary. So we got a lot to cover. I'm going to move relatively quickly because, of course, we want to leave some time for questions. And I know because we've had some engaging and enlightening speakers, I know the presentation and conference agenda is a little bit behind. So I'm going to try to move as quickly as possible. So let's first talk about the digital revolution, right? First, it was the agricultural revolution, as you see in the middle there. And then it was the industrial revolution. Mr. Carnegie, Mr. Rockefeller. Then it was the PC revolution. Of course, I remember some of those Apple computers all the way on the far left in grade school. And now It is the digital revolution. And technology is the one thing that changes everything, right? Adam Smith talked about that in his famous book, The Wealth of Nations. It changes the curve. So when you have emerging economies today, for example, the country of India that's experiencing the industrial revolution and the technology digital revolution at the same time, and that's having a multiplicative impact. There we see visualization of the various routes to the internet. The internet is seemingly limitless. So this is a statistic and slide that when I'm speaking to groups of C-level executives, entrepreneurs, I mean, you can hear a pin drop. The average lifespan of a company listed on the S&P 500 has significantly decreased from 67 years in the 1920s to 15 today. Wow. So what that means is that the average time that a company spends on the list of the 500 largest companies has gone from 67 years to 15 today, and that's because of technology. And there we see a couple examples of those in Blockbuster and Kodak, the world's most valuable public companies from 2006 to 2016. And if you look at 2016, the only one that is a non-technology company is ExxonMobil. So clearly technology having a multiplicative impact. This was certainly touched upon by the memorable comments of Mr. Bartlett. The world's largest taxi company owns no vehicles, largest accommodation provider owns no real estate. So the way that we approach communicating with our friends, family, business, commerce also has to be changed. So there are a few trends. I believe in life and in business, you need to follow trends. So one, there's a supply-demand imbalance of quality online reputation and digital marketing advice. There's so many people that need that advice, but a relatively small number who actually are able to provide that. And this is a relatively new frontier as well. Of course, the digital revolution, tablets, mobile phones, social media, content marketing, there is an emergence and a reliance on the internet, and we need to embrace that and understand it. The interdependence of our global supply chain with respect to technology, communication, and human capital used to be Henry Ford and the assembly line. And now it is the disassembly line, and countries are arranged according to their comparative advantage. And lastly, our reliance on search engines for information and qualified research. These are quite important trends. So differentiation, how are you as an aspiring entrepreneur, professional, an established executive, as a government, as the Ministry of Tourism for the great country of Jamaica, how are you going to differentiate, right? Because if you shout at the internet and no one is listening, does it make a sound? So differentiation is critical, and reputation is foundational for that. So what is online reputation management? So first and foremost, when you think about reputation, I want you to think about in your personal and or professional life, all the intangibles, the things you can't measure, right? The trust, relationship capital that you have, your ability to communicate, brand equity, all the things that you have offline. How do you make sure they're represented appropriately online? That's what reputation management is. Ensuring that when somebody reads about you, wants to learn about you on the internet, who you really are, who your business is, the wonderful travel destination opportunities to visit Jamaica, are they represented appropriately? And that is online reputation management, and building, monitoring, repairing that is absolutely foundational. So of course, what is reputation, right? Reputation is comprised of these intangibles, emotions, perception, and it can be defined as an estimation in which a business or person is held in a particular regard, right? And online reputation management is the process of building, monitoring, and repairing the digital content that appears when you, a business, a law firm here, we use it as an example, is searched on the internet. As mentioned, essentially, how do you ensure that the trust, positive energy relationships you have with clients, friends in real life is accurately represented online. And 86% of people would pay more for services from a company with higher ratings. And the confidence of existing and future clients oftentimes depends on your positive press. Because as mentioned, reputations are everything. Here we have the line by Eric Schmidt, as mentioned, identity will be the most valuable commodity for citizens of the future, and it will exist primarily online. Online reputation management. The emergence of social media allows negative comments to be shared and circulate amongst large numbers of internet users, right? So something bad happens. If you don't address it, it can be amplified, it can go viral. And it's kind of like the old Teddy Roosevelt line, when something happens, the best thing you can do is the right thing. The next best thing is the wrong thing, and the worst thing you can do is nothing. And generally speaking, consumers value interacting with businesses and service providers with a positive reputation, right? And the internet is now our default source for qualified research. I mean, when we're recommended a new doctor, we oftentimes search online. We see a commercial on TV for something we want to buy. We jump to Amazon to check the purchase feedback or ratings. Just in North America, 92% of consumers regularly read online reviews to check about a business. So organizations that value and emphasize reputation management tend to experience higher client satisfaction and stronger growth. Burson Marsteller, a leading global public relations and communications firm, found that 95% of CEOs surveyed believe that corporate reputation plays an important or very important role in the achievement of business objectives. But 19% of these same executives only had a formal system in place for measuring the value of that corporate reputation, right? So they're aware that it's important, but not necessarily putting an appropriate framework in place. And this is a common challenge for governments, for businesses in the private sector. Sometimes we know exactly what we need to do in order to be successful. But surprisingly, some of us take action and struggle to take action and make changes and implement. And proactive reputation management can afford organizations clarity and protect them from unwelcome content. So here we have, I do a lot of work in the legal industry with attorneys. I also testify in court as a subject matter expert witness and help quantify damages when there's been reputation issues. And here we have a line from the New York State Bar Association. I mean, a lawyer cannot be competent absent a working knowledge of the benefits and risks associated with social media. And it wasn't that long ago that the word tweet was considered a joke and social media was something that wasn't taken seriously. And now a business is questioned when they don't have a Facebook company page. So clearly the reputation has come a long way, and digital reputation is a new frontier that merits attention. So the Google test. Well, it's called the Google test because most people use Google. And so I know a number of you are probably thinking, and can think of times where you've met somebody, you've read about something, and you've entered them in Google, myself included. So making sure that you are represented appropriately on Google is foundational, right? And because there's so many updates and the algorithms change, you need to be proactive with curating the best content. For instance, if there is great information out there about you, your business, your organization, but it's on page 10, the vast majority of people are not going to see it. So you need to make sure that the most relevant and appropriate information is showing up. Conversely, when there's negative information, which we certainly have expertise both on building as well as mitigating negative information. Here's a law firm example. Here's a law firm, Goldberg Wheatprinter. If you see the fourth link down, you can see that an attorney is accused of some wrongdoing. So if I'm a prospective client and I'm recommended over dinner or at a conference to work with this firm, I go to Google, type in this company, immediately the perception is going to be somewhat defamatory and negative, right? You can see, and there have been a plethora, many instances of where negative information has affected your offline reputation in real life. Because if people look you up, even if someone had the same name as Samir Samal and I was Googled and they found bad information, it wasn't even me, people would still potentially assume. So that's why being proactive about your reputation is foundational. And if you're a company, and I gave you the example of Blue Ocean Global Technology, you can see our company is Googled. We have a Google page set up on the right, and we have a number of clients have shared positive reviews. You can see the perception is incredibly important, and Google reviews really do matter. You have to have a verified Gmail account. And so that is certainly one important instance. You have to actually get that set up and have a physical address. So it's important to be proactive and learn the different nuances and foundational building blocks to your digital presence. I just wanted to give you an example of one here. One first impression. I always say in life, for many of our audience members tuning in live in the Jamaica Auditorium or globally, this is my first impression with you. And so I wanted to make sure it was a good one. That's why I prepared some thoughtful and insightful slides. Similarly, you or your business has one first impression. So foundational to your online reputation is your website, your web digital assets. Are they responsive design? Do they adapt appropriately? Or when someone clicks on an article, a link in your email signature, and they go on their Android versus their iPhone, is it functioning appropriately? And so lining up is that is foundational to building your digital presence. And it's oftentimes overlooked. I see and encounter companies across industries, be it in medical, be it in law, be it in financial services, who are very successful, established organizations, well capitalized, but they still don't have a mobile adaptable website. And that's why I merited putting that in here. Here's an example any of you can relate to. When you find a website, you got to kind of pinch in to zoom into information. That is non-mobile friendly. An example of that here. Mobile friendly is where you have that mobile menu and it's a little bit easier to view. So that's a quick distinction. So building, monitoring, and repairing your reputation. So building. Noah's rule from the Bible. Predicting rain doesn't count. Building the ark does. So many of you agree that building your online reputation is important. But how are you going to take action? And I have empathy. Working with PR firms, digital marketing firms, many of the work that we do is in tandem with established agencies, and we form partnerships. So we work in collaboration to kind of build that digital presence. And it can be overwhelming, right? There's so many different variables to consider, and you don't know where to get started. So it's important for your online reputation to have digital assets, strong profiles, and we'll talk a little bit about what that means. So digital assets. So essentially your entire online existence is made up of digital assets. Those include your websites, blogs, microblogs, forums. You do an interview, guest blogging, a live video webcast such as this, a podcast, your social media profiles. All those different components come together to form your online reputation. And so you need to curate those digital assets so that when you're having dinner with your family, you're spending time reading a book, you are on an airplane, those digital assets are working for you and they're representative. That is certainly critical. Repairing. So when there have been issues online where there's information that isn't representative, maybe it was a court case. We've encountered many situations. Let's say there is a rogue employee and there's somebody who is fired from a company. And so anytime someone Googles that company, they're finding bad information about a former employee. But for a prospective client, that information is real and permanent at the current time. Here are a number of the different issues for ORM repair. You have competitors that can do things and put information out there. Consumer feedback with respect to reviews. Reviews matter. You have people that put out information. You could have embarrassing images or videos, right? False information, right? Profiles that are not yours. Others include legal documents. Maybe you've had a legal case. Somebody accused you of something that you didn't do. You were found innocent, but you're still guilty online because court documents show up when someone looks up your name. Scam reports, employees, past employees who weren't happy, putting things out there. So there's an expansive group of issues that is relevant for online reputation repair, and then you need to be aware. And we always say the best offense is a strong defense, because if you already have a number of really positive digital assets out there, that's going to protect you and help you repair your reputation swiftly. So when thinking about reputation repair, of course, you need to conduct a thorough analysis. Each case is unique, and there is an expansive number of issues associated with reputation repair, including internet defamation. Let's talk a little bit about monitoring, right? So in addition to building the profile, repairing when there's negative information, we encourage individuals and businesses to actively monitor the information that comes up online. For instance, when somebody quotes me in an article, when information is published with the name Samir Somal, we have as simple as Google alerts set up, Talkwalker alerts set up so that we're notified when information comes to us. That's incredibly important, because then you can find potentially good things that are out there, share them with your audience. You also can be aware of negative or erroneous information before it has a chance to go viral, right? So you can see why monitoring is so important and a big part of the work that we do with clients. And here we have Google Alerts, Talkwalker, listening to the ground is important. So here's a little online reputation management checklist. You have to know your vision. What do you want to be known for out there? Understand the different stakeholders and people involved. Define your voice, right? Communicate effectively and set guidelines. If you have an organization with many people, there's certain standards that you have in marketing materials, in communicating offline. Make sure those are represented appropriately online. And of course, identify the platforms you want to be on. We've had clients come to us and say, hey, Samir, we really want to be on Snapchat. And after doing a little bit of research and understanding the situation, we say, most of your potential audience is on Facebook and LinkedIn potentially. Before you jump into Snapchat, you should probably establish a presence there. It would make more sense, right? Of course, building media relationships is going to be critical, and monitoring. So let's talk about a few practical tips, right? Within an organization, you have to integrate your legal, PR, and marketing decisions. You can no longer have things in isolation where there's a silo-like structure and people don't communicate or collaborate across departments. Because ultimately, your reputation is a function of so many aspects of your business, right? About everything affects your reputation. If you don't have a good legal team or compliance and something bad goes wrong, that'll affect your reputation. Operations, client service. So everyone has a role in reputation. You need to have balanced communication. Failing to plan, planning to fail. So make sure you prepare for crisis. You put some of these safeguards in. And of course, always responding with care and diplomacy. So learn to see your reputation and your online reputation as a valuable asset. So people find information. We receive inquiries almost every day, and I receive inquiries personally because people maybe read an article, they saw a video, they attended this conference, they looked us up, they found information, they said, wow, so I'd like to learn more about reputation. So that's a valuable asset on an ongoing basis. Always create a client-focused corporate culture. By having happy clients, they will naturally be able to have a process for them sharing that information online. Encourage online engagement by providing education. So helping people make the most informed decisions is a foundational tenet of my life. For instance, I'm here in New York. I had a number of speaking engagements yesterday, and someone asked me, Samir, tell me about you. What do you do? That proverbial question. And I always say, first and foremost, I'm an educator, and I'm passionate about learning and then sharing information to help others make the most informed decisions. So having that approach to educate your audience and share information. You have a great client story where you solved a challenge. Sharing that online is foundational to your reputation. Of course, learning the ins and outs of responding to reviews. Reviews do matter. Facebook reviews, Google reviews, Yelp, TripAdvisor, then different industries have specific review websites. So each organization is going to be unique from that perspective. Create and enhance professional profiles on review websites. So we've had businesses say, oh, we're not interested in reviews. If you don't create and are proactive with reviews, oftentimes we've seen where somebody has a misunderstanding, maybe they have a negative experience with the organization, and then they put those negative reviews out there. So without proactively curating the positive experience, you could have 1,000, 10,000 happy clients. But if there's nobody sharing that online and 2 people out of 10,000, right? 2 people out of 10,000 have a bad experience. To somebody who's considering your organization, they're going to potentially perceive you negatively. So that's important. Of course, you can use your online reputation to enhance your offline marketing. You're going to a client event. You're developing marketing collateral. By curating reviews and having a process for that, you're able to share that information, right? Asking for reviews, very important. People feel more confident about an organization when they see positive reviews, right? You have to make it easy to ask for feedback. Of course, monitor and respond is important. Here's some 5 misconceptions about online reviews. I only need to pay attention to bad reviews to maintain my business's online reputation. We already know that that's not true. You need to proactively curate positive and good reviews. I only need to worry about reviews on industry-related websites. Not true. Some of the general websites, like the Google reviews page, actually shows up when your company is Googled. So that can be incredibly important. I have to pay attention to every review site to effectively manage. Not true. There's a number of ways to monitor effectively that we can cover offline at any point. It's too hard for my clients to leave reviews. Not true. Somebody has a positive experience, putting in a process. Hey, how was the product or service? Great, it was awesome. Hey, would you mind leaving a review? Sending them something in the mail, following up. You had a great experience. We'd like you to leave a review. We'd be so appreciative. And of course, reviews alone won't make your website. Something isn't going to go on forever, eventually stop. So you need to have reviews as part of your excellence that your organization is already providing. High quality content. So you need to curate original, authentic, unduplicated content, right? On a firm's website or blog will have a significant impact on search results. Readers find and like to digest content in so many different ways. Some like to listen, some like to watch video, some like to read articles. I like to do all of those at different times. So covering all those different mediums is certainly a competitive advantage. Having an active social media presence. Now, this is where sometimes people get a little bit overwhelmed. Hey, I don't have time to post all that information. And so it's important to have a plan. So for instance, you publish a great article. It could be a short article, 300-400 words on your blog. You could share it 1 week on LinkedIn, another week on Facebook, another week on Twitter. You're getting more mileage out of quality content. It's better to have less, but be able to promote that quality and authentic content, right? Because as I mentioned earlier, you only have one first impression. Having a quick response, having a plan in place when information is out there that isn't representative is definitely foundational. And of course, having buy-in from your team. Right? I have a client who's a hotelier. I was just visiting with him, and we implemented a system whereby all of in his hotels, the front desk people that are greeting, the drivers from the airport, everyone's working together to deliver a better client experience And then they're asking for the reviews, and everyone's incentivized to get those reviews, even getting video reviews on camera. So that's a process that has ongoing leverage and opportunity to be able to really share the positive work that people are doing. Allocating resources, and making sure that you're thinking about your reputation being impactful. Everyone's always looking for return on investment. And reputation is so intangible. Right? Like Albert Einstein once said, not everything that can be counted counts, and not everything that counts can be counted. Right? It's hard to measure your reputation. There's no scale to measure that. It's an intangible, as mentioned earlier, like relationship capital, like trust, like the love you have for your children, parents. Those are intangibles. They're hard to measure, but they are important. Here we have a brief little case study that I think is important to just talk a little bit about some of the ramifications of your online reputation. So everyone loves, when I'm delivering this program, the case of Snay versus Gulliver. So former Miami Gulliver Preparatory School headmaster Patrick Snay sued his former employer for age discrimination. He was the headmaster. And after his contract was not renewed. And in November 2011, the case was settled between himself and the school, confidentiality, where he was to receive $80,000. However, the confidentiality agreement said that he couldn't share the information with anyone. Snay unfortunately shared the information with his teenage daughter, Dana. So Dana, overjoyed by the news of the family victory, went on to Facebook. And she said, Mama and Papa Snay won the case against Gulliver. Gulliver is now officially paying for my vacation to Europe this summer. Suck it. As you can imagine, Gulliver's school found out about this pretty quick because many of her Facebook friends were in the Gulliver community. And not only did Mr. Snay lose the $80,000 as it was found that he had violated the agreement, but anytime you Google Patrick Snay, there are pages and pages about this story. So to suppress that content and to remove it will cost a serious amount of money and is a very high-end reputation case. And now his reputation online has been defined by this issue, which is just a small example. I'm sure many of you can think of examples when people have posted the wrong things on social media and it's resulted negatively. So he would not receive the $80,000, and even though he tried to fight it, ultimately that was not chosen. So conclusions, learning objectives, right? Understand the importance of online reputation. Learn the ramifications of what you are online. You are what you are online. The Google test, make sure your Google test is positive about you personally and professionally. Building, monitoring, and repairing your reputation, the three components. Proactively build, monitor on an ongoing basis, and make sure if there's negative, defamatory, erroneous content, you repair it. Reputations are everything. Our life opportunity set is a function of our reputation. And 30 years ago, people got information from newspapers, maybe on TV. But today, people have been empowered with unfiltered access from a device that fits in the palm of their hand. And so they're easily able to check on you online, make sure you have a good reputation. Businesses grow and achieve results through their reputation. Digital presence and online communication are not just critical components of a company's reputation. They form the foundation for survival and growth and dictate your opportunity set. It takes 20 years to build a reputation and 5 minutes to ruin it. And if you think about that, you'll do things differently. Warren Buffett, the Oracle of Omaha. So here's some of our handles. Here's my contact information. It's been an absolute pleasure sharing some comments. And I think I
Thank you very much, Mr. Somal. That was really an enlightening, informative talk on online reputation management. Great stories, great case studies.